Well, Razorback fans, you officially have swept the number one Texas Longhorns in what was a great weekend in Fayetteville. Let's have some fun with this one again here on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I'm your host, John Nabors. I'm also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. As I know, if you're a Razorback baseball fan, you certainly did. Arkansas takes care of business. Just an absolute drubbing of the number one team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, and what was a sweep, an absolute sweep. Arkansas now is the first team to make it to 40 wins in all of college baseball. They are 40-9, 17-7 in SEC play as number one Texas drops to 38-8, 19-5 in SEC play. So we already talked about the game one victory that Arkansas had last week, and now it's looking at what Arkansas is going to be about here coming up, as far as how is this all going to play out for the Hogs the rest of the season. And, we'll get to that. There'll be time for that, especially given the circumstances that they got LSU on the road this weekend, which will be tough. And also, of course, Tennessee, here that they're very good. And, well, they did lose a series, but you know what I'm saying? They're the defending champs. You got Tony Vitello. There's always going to be some stuff there too. But, Arkansas in the way that they played this game was just phenomenal. And this series was great. They had lost 3 straight series, and if you listen to this podcast, I told you, it's like it's not great. If people were upset by it and criticizing it and being frustrated by it, I get it. I was one of those people that was doing the same thing, but it doesn't mean that when you felt that way, that the team was cooked, felt like the season was no longer going to be even worth watching. It was none of that. It was just I started to kind of get to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wait till postseason and see what this team's made of and then see where it goes from there. But the Razorback baseball team got me pulled back in. Just what they were able to accomplish, man, and this weekend was so much fun. The weather hold off for the most part. You had great pitching performances, especially game 1 and game 2. The way that Zach Root looked great. Not the actor, Stephen Root, but Zach Root looked great. The way that you had great performance from Gage Wood, who had been dealing with injury, and they're slowly and surely getting him back, but he was just wheeling and dealing. And even on the Saturday game, to which you only won 13-8, you still had some pretty solid pitching performances. And people say, well, you gave up 8 runs and blah, 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 blah. Folks, again, you got to remember, this is the third game of a series against the number one team in the country. Giving up 8 runs is not some indictment on this team and the pitching and like, all those pitchers are terrible. It's like, okay, find me game 3 pitchers that are going to be able to do that in the SEC. It's few and far between, but Arkansas definitely showcased their ability. The offense was mainly the big storyline there on Saturday as they were able to hit 5 home runs. And big country, Reese Robinette getting 2 of those was just awesome. One of them, he smacked all the way to Foghorns out there. I think it said they ended up going 448 feet. I think it may have been more than that. I don't care if it was wind-aided or not. That sucker was gone. And just, a dominating performance against a team that you just can't stand. And Razorback fans really brought it. The attendance was great. The atmosphere was as electric as you could have it. And it was one of the most enjoyable home series that I can remember in Razorback baseball. Not to say that they haven't had them, but I'll be curious, and maybe some of you in the comments will talk about like when was the last time you had a series that was that enjoyable at home in Baum-Walker in Razorback baseball. So you bounce back. You have the Aloy brothers doing great things. You have some guys that are starting to get back and getting the pieces all together. All these things are coming together, it seems to, at the right time, and how good teams bounce back. I'm not going to over exaggerate what this particular game was about because it's one game, as I mentioned. It's one series. You still got 2 left. You still have a lot of work to be done. But I would think, barring some sort of epic collapse where you go like 0-6 the rest of the way, I think that you have all but wrapped up a national seed. Even if you lost these final 2 series and you finished 2-4, I think you're going to be still a national seed, or at least flirting with it. So I think you can go ahead and start booking your plans, folks, for Baum-Walker to be hosting regional again, which you can say whatever you want about it. We'll get to that point when it happens. But I want to just point out some things. Like, we could go through the stats and all of that, which a lot of you I know already have and already know a little bit about. But I wanted to take it a little bit of a different direction and just talk about like what the things that I just witnessed and I observed and what I saw from this Razorback baseball team, but mainly from the fans and the approach that they had. It always means so much more when it's Texas. You could tell from those players' perspective, it meant more because it was Texas. You could tell from the pitching performances. You could tell from the hitting. You could tell from the fed off energy. You could tell by the confidence and the swagger that they had. And then you could also tell by the fans who, listen, the fans interact with a lot of different teams and they'll go at players and whatnot. I have never seen a fan base, or I've never seen a Razorback fan base have that much interaction with the Texas baseball team as I saw then. That Texas baseball team was talking a lot to the fans. You could sit there and say whether that's good or bad, is it a problem, whatever. I'm not here to judge. It's a matter of, if the team does well. They didn't win this weekend, but, Jim Schlossnagle is a good coach, and if he's okay with it, then that's what they do. But so much interaction with the fans and all the horns down that were going on, and that was awesome. And to see, fans kind of really just put it to him and put the pressure onto him and build the crowds the way that they did, and everything to go along with it was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And one of the things I loved is that we didn't get to see many of the runs scored by Texas in the first 2 games. So I didn't even realize they did this, but when they hit home runs and get runs or whatever, all their players start doing this clap over the head. And Arkansas started picking up on that. And the fans at Baum on Saturday when our Texas actually started scoring. And so Arkansas fans just took that over and started doing it themselves towards Texas. Anytime Arkansas scored, they started doing that same stuff, just kind of making fun of me. Like, yeah, see, this is really dumb that we're doing this, and it's dumb that you do it too, because we can do it too. So all of that together was awesome. But I love the fact of the approach that Dave Van Horn had. You could tell he was challenging. And we talked about it last week when they canceled that game against Missouri State. I'm going to go on record here, and I'm going to give myself a little credit. I'm going to give myself a little praise for this, because one of the things I felt like is that this team needed a break. They needed that break. They needed that time, that energy to kind of reset themselves, shut down the engines, put them in neutral, and get back to where they need to be. And is that exactly what happened? Is that the only reason why they took care of business against Texas this weekend? I don't know. Maybe. But I think that those are the types of moments in a season where you got to put the right challenges and you got to move the right pieces. And that's what Dave and his staff did. They all brought it. And you can tell that they wanted this. They came out with a vengeance. They came out pissed off, essentially, is what they did. And they just rolled through them. I love that you were able to do it in different ways, too. Like, the pitching was really good, and the starting pitching has been one of the biggest concerns. In fact, I asked on Inside Arkansas Live last week with the baseball team, what was your biggest concern? And, starting pitching was one of the biggest options and the biggest obstacles that people were having to go through. Starting pitching was great. And the hitting was really timely. It wasn't just about home runs, although there was a lot of them hit there on Saturday, but a lot of it had to do with the wind. But it was just good manufactured runs, and you had some good innings that you stretched out, and the defense was really solid. This was just one of those games that gets everybody locked back in and excited again. This is one of those series that has everybody saying, okay, let's get down to business. Because every team goes through a slump, folks. We know this. If you watch baseball, especially college baseball, especially Razorback baseball, you know that there are going to be teams that like Arkansas and what they played, that they're going to go through slumps. But it's a matter of how you handle those slumps. How do you battle through them, and the timing of them. Give me a slump where they lose 3 straight series to Georgia, A&M, and dude, I just lost the other team that they lost to this past weekend before Texas. Oh my goodness, what am I thinking about right now? That is crazy. I just lost it in there. But yeah, the 3 straight series that they lost. Like, give me that over the time frame of what they Florida. Thank you. I just think myself. Don't worry about it. But Florida, yes. Think about that, where they go through that stretch. Give me that stretch over any of the other ones where you get kind of limping into the postseason. This can be something that sparks it. Now, again, and I'm not saying that they're going to for sure beat LSU, for sure beat Tennessee or whatever. But we always talk about timing. We always talk about getting hot at the right time. And this could be the beginning of it. This could be something that sparks it and gets Arkansas right where they need to be. A team that is dominant, a team that is coming together, a team that went through the adversity, overcame it, became stronger for it, and now gets it rolling with a whole new animal of confidence. That's what it's about. And the great thing about it is you have no more midweek games. No more. You have 6 games left of the regular season. That's it. You have LSU, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you got Tennessee on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you have the SEC tournament starting up on May 20th. So this was a great weekend. Shout out to all the Razorback fans that showed up. Shout out to everything that went on. It's so great to make fun of Texas and to hate on Texas. And I'm just telling you right now, guys, Arkansas in basketball, now in baseball, in 2025, Arkansas is owning Texas in the sports. People are saying, the facts are there. They own Texas in spring. So hopefully they keep that going in all the other sports too. But just great job, Arkansas. Great job bouncing back. A fun weekend. And I know that all the fans were all about it too. And hopefully the momentum can keep going. And hopefully we get to have some fun with that too. I do want to bring up, though, something that my friend Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South brought up of ranking SEC coaches in football. It's where Sam Pittman ranked. Might be a little fascinating. We'll talk about that. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I'm here to tell you about our friends over at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. With an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. We're going to do a little football talk. We'll get into some basketball talk too, something about conference schedules, non-conference schedules, and who Arkansas should end up playing. But listen, everybody's got lists that they come out with in the offseason. It's what we do. I'm going to probably have lists this summertime, folks. If you've listened to this Locked On podcast, which I appreciate each and every one of you, you know that I'm going to have lists. You know that I'm going to have things I'm going to throw out there of like, oh, what if this happens? Top 3 this, all that stuff. It happens. It's just what we do. It's what we do to get content and to drive the discussion. But my guy, Connor O'Gara, who I really love and is really great at it over at Saturday Down South, I really always appreciate his SEC head coaching rankings, because if you look at everybody who has a ranking, they can have some hot takes and everything. But over the years, I felt like Connor has always been extremely fair and extremely accurate, in my opinion, on the rankings that he's had. And he put out on Saturday Down South a post-spring look at all 16 coaches heading into 2025. So we'll start at number 1 and kind of go down the list, because, again, there's 16 of them. No surprise, Kirby Smart. I agree. Kirby Smart's still the best. The dude's got multiple national championships. One of the few coaches that actually has that. I guess, is he the only coach? No, I guess Dabo still has them, but that one's an easy one for me. Then you have Steve Sarkisian, which also I agree. You got Sark. I hate him at Texas, but dude went to the college football playoff this past year. His first year in the SEC, did really well. It's all good there. Kalen DeBoer, Alabama. It's crazy to think that he had such a bad year, but they went 9-3. I think that was okay. Just a little bit different from Nick Saban. But he lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. It sucked. But he still had some really big wins, and one of those wins being against Georgia. So I agree there. Brian Kelly at 4, also agree. Josh Heupel, Tennessee, 5. I may have had Lane Kiffin a little bit higher, just being honest. But Lane Kiffin's at 6. So you could interchange them. Let's see. Eli Drinklin's at Missouri at 7. Yeah, whatever. Shane Beamer, 8. South Carolina. Mark Stoops, 9. Kentucky. Mike Elko, Texas A&M at 10. 11, Billy Napier at Florida. See what I'm getting at here. Clark Lee, number 12 at Vanderbilt. And then at number 13 is Sam Pittman at Arkansas. And here's what Connor O'Gara had to say. He says, this is what he said, the thing I like the most. We can't ignore the fact that he was brought on board to clean up the mess left by arguably the worst SEC hire of the 21st century. I think there's an argument there. And to Pittman's credit, a 2024 that began with him sitting atop every hot seat list that you could find, ended with a 3-win improvement that included a win against a top 5 Tennessee squad. If you believe that Arkansas struggles with transfer portal exports means that the program is in the same place where Pittman found it, you've lost all perspective of reality. But at the same time, a winning season in conference play with November playoff buzz would be the very best way to win back the public support after a third consecutive 6-loss season. So that's fair. Like if I was going to rank the coaches, I would probably have Sam Pittman there too. And in all honesty, they may have Sam Pittman there at SEC football media days when the media decides to put it all together and to put out their, not just their coaching rankings, I don't do that, but their team rankings for where it all comes together. And because of that fact, I think you have to be able to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective. And I went on Michael Bratton's podcast the other day, that SEC podcast, and talked about how incredible it would be. I think I talked about it on this podcast here too, about how incredible it would be to be a 6, and if Arkansas goes 6-6, it'd be a great job because of the schedule and everything. And so you had people that were not Arkansas fans, but they're like, Arkansas has averaged 6.4 wins per season since 2000. Yeah, 6-6 should be the standard. People don't understand standards. People have to understand that, like, if you averaged out, say, Ole Miss's wins over the past 25 years, like, I think they're just a little above 7. Says, I mean, every 7-5 is just fine. Ask Ole Miss fans if this year at 7-5 is fine. No, everything changes. You can't just look at it that way. You got to look at it from what the rest of the SEC does and where he compares and what they do. And right now, where it stands, Sam Pittman, he's not the worst coach in the SEC, but considering, as Connor pointed out, 3 straight 6-loss seasons for Arkansas, at least, that ain't it. And this year, upcoming, folks, if they go 6-6, I said it would be a great year, but that would be, at that point, I'm doing math. It's okay. 4 straight 6-loss seasons. I have so many numbers going around. Point is that that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be what people want. And honestly, where it stands now, by the way, he's above Brent Venables at Oklahoma, Hugh Freeze at Auburn, and Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. That's where he is probably going to end up. But November playoff buzz ain't going to happen. I just don't see it happening. But he can work his way back up. If Sam Pittman went 6-6 this year with the schedule and everything, I think you would have to move him from that 13th spot right there to at least 10th. I mean, that's just me. Because I feel like it would be that incredible of a set. But we'll have to wait and see. But I like these rankings. You can check them out, and if you agree, disagree. But I believe they're fair. I believe it's fair to have Sam Pittman 13 out of 16 among SEC coaches. And knowing I'm not okay with it. All right, Razorback basketball, non-conference game. Who they got to schedule? We'll talk about that coming up next. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback friends, I'm here to tell you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping, entertainment, it's all easy to lose track, but that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building that wealth. I know when people start using Monarch, you realize how much money you spend on things and stuff like food delivery and whatnot. But what it'll do is it'll help you budget smarter and save a lot more money. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can also track your personal accounts, set your goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress to go along with it. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So I feel like this has been discussed, but this got asked to me via social media about the schedule that Arkansas hopefully ends up having when it comes out for basketball. And now it seems like they're waiting on, of course, players. The portal has been all of that, but non-conference games and how Cal, it's always the Cal factor. Like, how is Cal going to make it better? How is Cal going? Who's he going to schedule to be able to have a lot of interest and a lot of energy and drive to what it possibly could end up being overall? Because it is Cal, after all. And I was asked about, the questions of who they could play or who they could schedule, because we know that they're playing Duke, and it's hard to get bigger than that up in Chicago. We know that they're doing that. I almost would, I don't know if it's come out official, but like they're going to play Baylor again this year. An exhibition game I feel like is inevitable against some high-quality opponent. I really hope it's against Kansas up in Fog Allen Fieldhouse and return trip up there, because I've always wanted to go and always wanted to see it. So that would be really cool. But the rest of it's kind of up in the air. They'll have an ACC opponent for the ACC SEC Challenge, but we don't know who. Hopefully we know here soon. But here's the deal. It's like scheduling always means so much, and Cal's not going to come to me with my opinion. But the nice thing about having John Calipari as your head coach is that he can go and play and go and get anybody he wants. If John Calipari comes calling you and says, hey, let's set up this game, you take it. Because it's going to be done right. It's going to be a showcase. It's going to be on national TV, prime time, all that. If you need any example of that, just see what the impact was from that Arkansas-Michigan game up in Madison Square Garden. That was electric, absolutely electric. And so you're going to get that for, even if you win, lose, all that stuff, but it's like it's the build up to it. But people started throwing around all the teams that you wanted to play. And I'm talking about realistic ones. It's like, oh, play North Carolina. Yeah, that'd be cool. Or even play UConn. It's like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool. But there's a lot of things that go into that. I'm going to come up with a random one for you. And I don't think it's that random, but I don't know if I've actually heard it talked about a whole lot. I would love to see Arkansas play UCLA. And the only reason I'd love to see him play UCLA is because I could be wrong, but they have not played UCLA since 1995 when they lost that national championship game. And to me, I want revenge. I want revenge of that game that nobody on the team is around anymore as far as playing college basketball or playing NBA basketball. None of the kids that are currently on the UCLA team was even alive when that game happened and transpired. Even all those things, I still want to see them play UCLA because, it is confirmed. So they've only played UCLA 3 times. And they are 1-2 against them. They played them in 1973 when UCLA was number 1 in the country. And I was on the road to UCLA, and Arkansas lost by 30. And it was the first game that Arkansas had ever played the number 1 ranked opponent. They beat them in 1978 in the NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16, 74-70 in Albuquerque. And then, of course, they lost. So I want to play UCLA. It's a team you have not played very often. It's a pretty iconic and legendary traditional power. And you have means to do it. I mean, if you go to LA, that'd be kind of cool. I personally would love to see it played in Vegas. How cool would that be? You play at the Sphere or something like that, but you play the game in Vegas, make it part of some sort of charity or whatnot. But it'd be an easier trip for UCLA. But how cool would it be as you as a Razorback fan? Maybe they did it during the bye week of a Razorback football weekend or something. And you just have a quick trip, fly out to Vegas and watch the Razorbacks take on UCLA. That would be an awesome thing. I'd be all for it. No one's asking me, but I'm asking it, and that's who I'd want. Plain and simple. Give me UCLA. Give me UCLA. So we can have some fun with that too. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.